starts with ensuring police departments are well-staffed, well-funded, and well-equipped. It's critically important that as we hire more police, they be properly trained. My administration is committed to, and we will encourage police departments to pursue accreditation, our highest standard of training across this Commonwealth. For many, especially in our rural communities, the Pennsylvania State Police serve as local law enforcement. They patrol thousands of miles of the Commonwealth's roadways and hundreds of townships and boroughs. That's the work that Cadet McCurdy and Cadet Graham just signed up to do. We need more people like them in service. And so my budget proposes enough funding for 4 new cadet classes in the Pennsylvania State Police next year under the leadership of Acting Commissioner Paris. That's nearly 400 new troopers who will protect and serve our Commonwealth. But we also need to ensure that PSP has sustainable funding well into the future. Since at least 1969, the Pennsylvania State Police has been getting funding out of the Motor License Fund. And it immediately, think about this, sets up this conflict between infrastructure funding on the one hand and public safety on the other, as it takes billions away from repairing our roads and bridges. We should no longer do that. That's why this budget creates, for the first time, the Public Safety and Protection Fund, the PSP fund. You get it? Secretary Monson came up with that. It's a budget joke, which will be a dedicated funding source for the state police that will reduce our reliance on gas taxes by $100 million each year for the next 5 years. Think about it. Think about it for a second. This is a win-win. It's common sense. The men and women of law enforcement get certainty that their funding will be protected for the long term, and the Commonwealth gets to invest more money in our infrastructure. Too many of our roads and bridges are just crumbling, and too many of our public transit systems are understaffed. We must repair our roads and bridges and make sure that we keep up and ensure that public transit continues to be an affordable, reliable option for millions of people across this Commonwealth. You see, connecting our communities spurs growth, and it creates more opportunity for our people. That's good for our economy, and it's good for public safety. And this budget finally allows us to tackle both. Building safe communities also means supporting our firefighters and first responders. So my budget invests. Come on, we should all clap for our firefighters. Come on. Stand up for our firefighters. So my first budget invests $36 million in new money for equipment, training, and salaries to support and grow their ranks. They deserve it, and we should deliver for them. It is my view that the Commonwealth can't do this work alone. Our local municipal governments and county governments are on the front lines of the efforts to keep folks safe, and we must ensure that they have the resources they need. Here's one key example. Let me give you one example. Our counties run Pennsylvania's 911 emergency dispatch system. They field calls from our constituents when there's an emergency, and then they get police and first responders and mental health professionals to the scene as quickly as possible. Since 2016, as calls have gotten more complex and staffing shortages more acute, the cost of running our 911 system has gone up 23%. But the state funding dedicated to supporting these systems during that time has remained flat. So this budget recognizes the challenges counties and 911 dispatchers face and invests over $50 million in that system, and then ties that funding to the cost of living so it will keep up with rising costs. I hope it's not lost on anybody in this room that every one of you represents a county, and every one of those counties relies on a 911 system. So let's come together on this. It's common sense. Here's another thing we can do to help our municipalities. They can't keep up with challenges like the rising cost of health care and increasing public safety needs because they're operating on these shoestring budgets. It's not just the 911 systems where local communities are feeling the pinch. In the past, when a local government struggled, municipalities then were forced to shutter their police departments and made cuts that undermined the safety and welfare of our communities. And we routinely saw that nearby towns face similar challenges. So listen, rather than having the state come in and take over local operations, how about we actually help these small communities band together and share resources and share know-how, combine services and help more people, alleviate the burden on the Pennsylvania State Police and other resources. This budget will invest in the Municipal Assistance Program to help our local communities support themselves.